Welcome to the Totally Honest Cooking Show. My name is Mark. Today we are doing a spicy chicken sandwich combo. So we're going to fry up some chicken thighs and make sandwiches. We're also going to make some French fries. We're going to start off with a cup of buttermilk. To that we've got a teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of Cajun seasoning, a teaspoon of garlic powder, and a teaspoon of kosher salt that we are going to add. We're also going to add in 2 tablespoons of hot sauce just to give it a little kick. Actually, I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of hot sauce because this stuff was spicy. My buddy sent me this and it has a little kick to it. And we're just going to whisk this in like this because it's easier to just do it ahead of time, right? You could also, if you didn't want to add the hot sauce, you could go with some pickle juice or something like that. I think Chick-fil-A uses pickle juice to make a little brine action to help break down the chicken a little bit, make it tender. But in this case, I think that hot sauce has enough vinegar in it. And it's kind of thick, so I didn't want to add too much. Now we're going to take our chicken thighs. And I went through a container of about 6 of them. I picked the 4 biggest chicken thighs in the container. You could probably do this with breasts if you wanted to cut them in half, maybe pound them out a little bit. Now I'm just going to take our buttermilk, pour it all over our chicken thighs. Doesn't that look good? Now the point of that, if you're like, no, that doesn't look good, I do not want to eat or drink that. The point of that is to get all these things into the chicken a little bit, help break down the proteins a little bit, make it a little bit more tender, help it retain juices, that sort of thing. We're going to leave that 4 hours to overnight. If you're doing one of those French fry things where you cut the fries up, cook them once, stick them in the freezer, and then fry them, you could do it that way. I think I'm going to try the double fry tonight because I don't think I've ever done the double fry. So that's what we're going to do. And I'll be back with you in like 4 hours. You don't go anywhere though, because I'll be like recording. You know, internet. While the chicken is brining, we're going to go ahead and make French fries. Now you could cut these up without even peeling them, throw them into deep frying oil, and have fries. That's a way to do it. Or we can peel them, we can cut them down to size, and we can fry them, and we could have French fries. Or we can do all that, fry them once till they're partially cooked, throw them in a freezer for an hour or 4 or overnight, and fry them. And the insides will get fluffier the longer that you freeze them within reason. This is something that they figured out over on Serious Eats in the food lab. I'm going to finish peeling these potatoes, then I'll be back to talk about cutting your potatoes and all that good stuff. Okay, I'm back with my mostly naked potatoes, and we're just going to cut them up. So I'm starting by cutting them in half long ways, and we're doing the ocular pat down on them to see what size they are. You've had French fries, make them the size that you want. Basically, would be my advice to you. If they look too wide, prune them a little bit. They tell you measure twice, cut once. I prefer to measure never and cut 1,000 times. That's how I roll. That's also why I am not a professional chef or cook, and I am not a professional builder in any way, shape, or form. These are gargantuan potatoes, by the way. I did this way so that I would have to cut fewer potatoes. My advice to you, in general, get the big honkin' potatoes. And while I'm talking, I'm getting the oil next to me in this wok over here. Nice and hot. It is the leftover oil from the egg rolls. I'm going to go ahead and check the temperature and start adding the fries. We're going to fry these once, and we're not going to fry them all the way. And then we're going to stick them in the freezer. They recommend 4 hours to overnight. I'm probably going to do less than that. Now, I probably cut some of these a little smaller than you'd prefer. Like, you could just go straight across like this and be totally fine. It's French fries. Do it the way you want it. Sometimes I like to have little dippers. So I make these little half fries. They're so cute. Anyway, we're going to check our temperature again. We're at almost 300 degrees. Some recipes call for 300 here. Some recipes call for 350. Some recipes call for 400. It doesn't really matter as long as you cook the French fry and you don't cook it all the way because we're double frying. I'm going to go probably 350, just split the difference. Okay, we're at temp. We're going to follow the rules that we always follow when we deep frying. The handle's pointed backwards. We are looking at our French fries ahead of time, make sure they're cut up properly. And we're just going to drop them in. Don't be afraid of the oil. Don't put too much in at once because you'll lower the temperature of the oil. And don't toss them from on high. You just want to get close to the oil. And you just want to drop it in. The reason for that is you don't want to splash. Splashing hot oil around is deadly. Again, don't put too much in at once. You crowd it, you'll drop the temperature, and then you won't be able to cook as well. It'll take longer, and I think it will wind up with more of an oily texture. If you're cooking at the right temperature, then it doesn't retain as much oil, question mark? Or at least you don't wind up with a bunch of oil on the outside. And we're going to do these in little batches, and that's just fine. Okay, we're going for this pale blonde color. Once you've achieved that, we're going to pull them. Put them on the paper towels. And let them rest a little bit till they get down to a temperature we can handle them with. It's been almost 4 hours, and we're going to go ahead and make the dredge for the chicken. So we're starting with a cup of flour, and then we're adding in cornstarch, which will make it extra crispy. And internet recipes show anywhere between 3 tablespoons and half a cup. I'm going for crispy. So I'm going for the full half a cup. We'll see how that does. This isn't my first time frying chicken, but this is my first time trying to come up with an on-the-fly spicy chicken recipe. To this floury mixture, I'm adding a teaspoon of salt and freshly ground black pepper each. Then we're going to go to a tablespoon of Cajun seasoning, a tablespoon of garlic powder, a tablespoon of paprika. This is Hungarian sweet paprika. You can use any paprika you want. I feel like the sweeter paprika will help offset some of the spice from this tablespoon of cayenne that I'm adding. This might be too much. It was we'll call it a scant tablespoon because I didn't fill the tablespoon up all the way and I'm afraid to add more. I'm going for spicy but not incendiary. We're also going to add a teaspoon of MSG because I can't think of a reason not to. Because MSG is delicious. Now we're going to go ahead and whisk it all together. Try to be thorough with this. You don't want to have big swaths that are over or under seasoned. We're going to go ahead and add 3 tablespoons of the brine from the chicken back into the dredge because that'll make little crispy surprises. And then we're going to batter the chicken all at once in this container because as the buttermilk drips off, it'll create even more of these. And those will be nice little pockets of flavor and crispiness. So that's what we got this fork here. We're just gonna fork it around. Cause fork it, man. There we go. We're all forked. We're all forked, man. And now we're gonna go ahead and dredge our chicken. And we want to coat our chicken with as much of this as we can. You know, if we have to add more, we will. See how we're getting these little craggly build-up places on the batter? That's what we want. Oops. And I'm making a mess. I have covered the floor in flour. And that is totally fine. And the power just went out. Well, that's not ideal. It's been about 24 hours since we dramatically cut. The power was out until late last night. We'll see how much of this is salvageable. First, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to start by making a little sauce for our buns. And we're going to do that by starting with a base of mayonnaise, which half a cup. To our half cup mayonnaise, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Then we're going to go into the fridge and get the hot sauce that we used in the brine and use some of that too. So I'm going to toss a teaspoon in. I normally don't like spicy mayonnaise concoctions in place of the actual seasonings on the burger, but we'll see how it goes. We're also going to have to do a look at the chicken and see if we need to re-dredge it. I have a sneaking suspicion that we might need a little bit more dredging. And I am a little bit afraid because we don't have all the stuff anymore. The teaspoon isn't working for me, so we're going to use the small whisk. The small whisk is legally distinct from Babish's tiny whisk. We're going to stick this in the fridge until we're done with our project. While that's in the fridge, I'm going to go ahead and take out our Hawaiian roll. And we're going to throw it in a cast iron skillet with some butter that's been melting. Then I'm going to start bringing our oil up to temp. It does look like the chicken is a little patchy, so I think that what I'm going to do with that is see if I can make it quick, just to add a little bit more, and then I'll be right back with you. For those of you following along at home, the reason that we're doing it this way is that putting the ingredients in the fridge last night resulted in caking and some of the breading fell off. Most of it is good. So I just made a quick batch of half a cup of all-purpose flour, a fourth a cup of cornstarch, and then half a tablespoon of the other ingredients that we put in the dredge, minus the salt, and that should be fine. Our target temperature for our oil is 350 degrees for the chicken, then we're going to go to 400 degrees for the fries. So we're going to start with that. I'm going to get my instant read, and then hopefully we will be able to have the dinner that we should have had last night. Make sure that if you're cooking the buns at the same time you're cooking the oil, that you monitor the buns so you don't burn them. Oh, where are my pickles? Oh, where are my pickles, pickles, pickles? There you are, my dear pickles. There you are, I see you there, my pickles. I see you. Pickles, I see you. Pickles, I see you. Seeing we're just looking to recover the areas that we already covered. So it's more or less gonna just go right on. And by accident, we are kind of double breading our chicken, which I think is also a thing that people do. Okay, so the oil has hit 350. We're gonna drop the chicken in. And it's okay if you have to go one at a time. The goal is to fry until golden, so that you'll know it's done when it's golden, because that's why you measured to 350 degrees. Pretty good, pretty craggly. We'll give it another minute or so, then we'll flip it. In fact, let's flip it now. Oop. You want to flip it like that so that you get an even cook. I'm gonna pull it. Looks done. We'll see. Drop in the next one. If you're gonna salt them right when they come out. So the chicken's done. We need to bring the oil temperature up a little bit for the French fries. Okay, so we're at about 400 degrees. I'm gonna drop one in. Okay, nothing exploded, so I'm going to drop more in. And you don't need to fry them for very long before they start looking like French fries. You will get a sense for this pretty quickly. Make sure you pull them as they fry. See, they don't need to be in there for super long because we already fried them once. You leave them in there too long, they'll get extra dark. And if they get extra dark, they'll burn. Notice we're doing these in batches. Salt our fries. Okay, it's time to dope our bun. So we're gonna, that's a whoopsie-doodle. We're gonna add our spicy-ish mayo to the bottom bun. And maybe a little dash on the top since we spilled it. Do our pickles. Most fast food establishments are going to give you 4. You're at home. Put as many pickles as you want on it. I'm going to cover the bottom bun because I like pickles. Now I'm going to give myself a big piece of chicken. Put the crown on. And then I'm going to very carefully give myself a serving of fries. Whoa. Ninja. Be careful with the fries. They are still very hot. Now, you could rearrange this however you want if you want it to be more fit for the gram, but I think this is just fine. One of the primary things I look for is this a full plate? And it is. And it looks delicious. Well, let's see how we did. I don't usually do that on this show, but could use maybe a little bit more cayenne, a little bit more Cajun, but it's good. I would make this again. Like, subscribe, hit the little bell, and I'll see you next Wednesday.